This is a one mark question asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects and from Boolean algebra topic. The given question is a function f of ABC defined by three Boolean variables a, b and c were expressed as sum of product given by some expression is given where a bar, b bar and c bar are complement of respective variables. The product of some form of the function f is. So basically we are supposed to obtain its equivalent POS form. So we are supposed to obtain equivalent POS form of this function f of ABC. Okay. So if you see this, this expression which is given, so this is actually the canonical SOP form, right? Why I am calling canonical? Because each term containing all the three variables, so they may be normal or complement form, every term is comprises of all the three variables. So we calling it is canonical. We are calling it is SOP, sum of products, because individual terms are product terms and they are being summed up. So that's why sum of products. And in canonical SOP, okay, so you know each term represent a mean term, and here variable is taken as 1 and variable bar is taken as 0. Okay, and similarly if we have canonical POS form, product of sum, here each term represents a max term, and in max term cases variable is taken as 0 and variable bar is taken as 1, opposite to this. So here it's a 3 variable cases. So the number of index that is possible is 0 to 2 raised to power n minus 1 if it is n variable cases. Because it is 3 variable cases, this is 0 to 2 power 3 minus 1, or that is 0 to 7. So total 7 index are possible. Sorry, total 8 index are possible. 0 to 7 there are 8 index are possible. Out of 8, so 3 are mean terms, because each term is a mean term, so 3 are mean terms. So remaining 5 will be max terms. So what are the mean terms? So here for this, so I have written this. 0 is equivalent to variable bar, 1 is equivalent to variable. So wherever I have variable bar, I will be taking it is 0. Wherever I have normal variable, I will be taking it is 1. Why I am taking like this? Because this is in canonical SOP form. That's why I am using these conventions. So variable bar, you can see 0, variable bar 0, 0. Variable bar 0, normal variable is 1 and this is 0. And again it is variable is 1, variable bar is 0, 0. So this is 0, this is 2 and this is 4. So this function f having mean term combinations 0, 2 and 4. If these are mean terms of f, so what are the max term of this? So those index which are not present here between 0 to 7, so they will be max terms. So because 0 to 4 are mean terms, so remaining index between 0 to 7 which are not in this set, so they will be coming in max terms. So 0 is present, so it cannot be max terms. 1 is not there, it will be max term. 2 is there, it cannot be max term. So 3 is not there, 4 is there, then 5, 6 and 7. Obviously it makes sense. If 3 are mean term, so 5 should be max term. So that sum of them should be 5 plus 3 becomes 8. Total there are 8 terms. Out of 8, 3 are in mean terms. Remaining 5 will be in max terms. So I have obtained what are the index, it will be under mean terms. So by following that logic we got it. So the missing things, missing index, so like 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, so they are in max term set. 1, if I write in 3-bit binary combination 0, 0, 1, 3 is 0, 1, 1, 5 is 1, 0, 1, 6 is 1, 1, 0, 7 is 1, 1, 1. Is that okay? So I am just writing all these numbers in its 3-bit binary form. So 1 is 0, 0, 1, 3 is 0, 1, 1, 5 is 1, 0, 1, 6 is 1, 1, 0 and 7 is 1, 1, 1. So if I am coming to 0, 0, 1, so note carefully that we are dealing with max terms, and max term means it should be in canonical POS. And here 0 is taken as variable, 1 is taken as variable bar. So 0 is taken as variable. So first variable is A, then plus B and plus this is 1. So I should take complements, right? Because 1 is equivalent to variable bar, 0 is equivalent to variable. Again I am telling because we are dealing with max terms. So because we are dealing with max term, so the equivalent form is canonical POS. So with respect to each of this, I will be getting a term which is a sum term, and equivalently they will be producted. So while translating them into its equivalent terms, I am following these conventions. 0 I am replacing it variable, 1 if it is I am replacing it by variable complement. Similarly, here it is A plus B bar plus C bar, and here for this 1, what you will get? you'll be getting variable complement, right? A bar. For 0 you get variable, for 1 you'll be getting variable complement. Similarly, for 1 1 0 you get A bar plus B bar plus C, and for this 1 1 1 you get this is A bar plus B bar plus C bar. So this is the function f. So this was given in the questions which is in canonical SOP, and this is what is your canonical POS functions. Actually, to answer such kind of questions, like hardly this is 20-30 second job. So what is the right approach to answer such kind of question is, so based on the theoretical study, directly can commit this conclusion. You know how to translate this, you will be getting it. So if there are 3 mean terms, so that should be 5 max terms. So by look itself in the options, you can check which options having 5 terms. If any option having more than 5 or less than 5, so those can be easily discarded. So you have filtered couple of options, then which are remaining, you check it. So whether you are getting such combinations or not. Suppose you are checking one options, and by translating that options, you got a term, let's say 2, so max term 2. But max term 2 is not possible because we know these are the max term combinations. So 2 index is already in mean term, it cannot be max terms. So that option you can eliminate. So that's the way you can eliminate the options and you can reach to the correct answer very quickly. Once again I am telling you what the right approach is. You just check it. There are 5 max terms. Which options having more than 5 or less than 5? Those are wrong options. It's been discarded. And those options where you have exactly 5 number of terms, test it one by one. If you have taken on options, again translate it by taking this logic. Variable bar is 1, variable is 0. Let's say you are translating this, you will be getting this. You are getting 1. If you translate this, you will be getting this 3. So in case if you got something, let's say 2, 4, something like this, so that cannot be the right options because those index are already mean term, they cannot be max terms. So that's the right way to answer such kind of question in the GATE exam rather than following this approach. But anyway, if you don't know this concept, so this is the alternate way to reach this answer. This question is asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects, from combinational circuits and related to multiplexer concept. The question is, a 4 variable Boolean function is realized using 4x1 multiplexers as shown in figure. The minimized expression for f in terms of UVWX is, okay. So this is a very common structures of multiplexers where 2 multiplexers are cascaded and you are supposed to obtain the expression of this f. So let's do one thing. So let's name this is nothing but Z, okay, the output of first multiplexers. You know very well VCC, it means by default we take this is logic 1, right? So it means this is connected to logic 1, this is connected to logic 1. Ground means it is 0 volts and by default we take them as logic 0. So if I ask you what is the expression of Z, okay, so G is equals to, you can see here. So it should be actually S1 bar S0 bar I0 plus S1 bar S0 I1 plus S1 S0 bar I2 plus S1 S0 I3. So this is the standard expressions of this 4x1 multiplexers. So let us substitute their corresponding value. To S1 we have U connected, to S0 we have V connected. So this would be U bar V bar. In I0 we have 0. Then you have U bar V. Then in I1 we have 1. Then you have U V bar. Again I have 1. Then you have UV. Then this is 0. So this term becoming 0. This term becoming 0. Then we are left with this U bar V plus UV bar. U bar V plus UV bar. So this is the expression of Z. Alright. Now coming to this particular case, that F we are supposed to find it out. So because this is G means this is also G, this is also G, and this is connected to ground means this is 0 and this is 0. So if you are trying to write the expression of F, then you should get S1 bar. Again the same expressions, okay, same expression will be getting, and in these expressions if I am substituting the value of S1 is W, S0 is W, and I0 I1 GG and I2 I3 0 0, then I will get F is equals to W bar X bar G plus W bar X G plus W X bar 0 plus W X 0. So this term is 0, this term is 0, right? Then how much will you get here? So you can take W bar G common. So you get this is X bar plus X. So that happens to be GW bar. So this is W bar and in place of G, if you substitute this, so this happens to be U bar B plus UB bar. Okay, so this is the expression of F you get. So if you check it, so this is given in one of the options like W bar, then U bar B plus UB bar. Yeah, so that is given in option C actually, right? So that is the right answer for these questions. So very, very straightforward questions. If the multiplexes are in cascaded, you can get the expression of the first multiplexes, and then that corresponding expression you can use it while finding the output expression of the second multiplexes. This question is asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects and from sequential circuit or finite state machine concept, you can say. The given question is, a traffic signal cycles from green to yellow, yellow to red, red to green in each cycle. Green is turned on for 70 seconds, yellow is turned on for 5 seconds, red is on for 75 seconds. The traffic light has to be implemented using a finite state machine. The only input to the finite state machine is a clock of 5-second period. The minimum number of flip-flop required to implement this FSM is dash. Okay, actually, so what is being given is, we have a traffic signal and there are 3 lights being used in the signal, green, yellow and red. So what is happening is, in each cycle, right? So green light is on for 70 seconds, yellow light is on for 5 seconds, red light is on for 75 seconds. And this device has to be designed using a finite state machines, and the only input to that finite state machine is a clock whose period is 5 seconds. So in that finite state machines, so how many flip-flop to be, minimum number of flip-flop to be used? That's what the question is. Actually, they have given so much of informations like red, green, yellow, finite state machine, all these. So instead of asking the question directly, the language of the question is changed. But this is again a very popular repetitive model questions of GATE exams. But by observing this, if you are not able to decode its corresponding simpler language, you may have to skip the questions. So let me just simplify what they're telling. So actually, so this finite state machine is nothing but a kind of counter. And in a counters, we know 2 raised to power n should be greater than equals to n, where this n indicate the mod number of counter and the small n indicates number of flip-flop needed. In fact, the minimum number of flip-flop needed. The minimum, I mean, while satisfying this equation, you have to select the minimum value of n, so that will give you the minimum number of flip-flop needed. This is the design equation of a counters. And if I ask you, what is the meaning of mod number of a counter? Mod number of a counter. So there are different ways to interpret this mod number of a counters. But one of the most accurate way to define the mod of a counter is, that is the number of clocks needed, the number of clock needed, the number of clock needed to repeat the counting cycle or counting pattern. To repeat the counting cycle or counting pattern. So how many number of clock needed to repeat a counting pattern in a counter defines the mod numbers. In this case, instead of giving the counter is counting so and so states, so the states are defined with respect to some lights, and lights are indirectly linked to the corresponding timing informations. So here each cycle, okay, I mean this is the cycle, right? This is the cycle. So this is the cycle. If we say this is the counting cycle, so one counting cycle involve how much seconds? So because the sequence is green to yellow, yellow to red, red to green. So that means all the lights should be turned once to complete one counting cycle. So this should be on for 70, this is for 5 and 75. So total one counting cycle is equivalent to 150 seconds. Yes or no? So if I am saying yes, a counter is making one cycle, so indirectly this machine is making one cycle. When I say this machine is making one cycle, it is going through all these lights. And in terms of time, if I ask you how much is the time, because you know this has to be on for 70 and it will be off. Then this will be on, it will be off. And this will be on, this will be off. So if you see total how much time needed to complete one cycle, obviously to complete one cycle it needs 150 seconds. So one counting cycle needs 150 seconds, and 150 second is how many clocks, because one clock is 5 seconds, because one clock is 5 seconds. So the number of clock is nothing but equals to 150 seconds divided by 1 clock period, which is 5 seconds. So this is coming to be 30 clocks. This is coming to be 30 clocks. Yes or no? So to complete one counting cycle or to complete one lightning cycle of this traffic signal, it takes 30 clocks. So if we try to link this FSM with the counters, so instead of giving one counting cycle, so they have given one lightning cycle, and that lightning cycle is equivalent to 30 number of clocks. And we have defined what is the mod number of a counter. This is the number of clock needed to repeat the counting pattern. So the number of clock needed to repeat the counting pattern is 30. So in this particular example or in this particular questions, we are getting the mod number is equals to 30. If the mod number is equals to 30, if I am substituting in this equation, 2 raised to power n is greater than equals to 30, what is the minimum value of n it will satisfy? So if you go for n is equals to 4, it will be 16, and n is equals to 5, it will be 32. So the minimum value of n, this is needed is 5 in this case to satisfy these equations, and hence I need 5 number of flip-flop to implement this finite state machines. Hope this logic is clear to all of you. So indirectly that green, yellow, red concept is given. So one lightning cycle is equivalent to 30 clock cycles, and 30 clock cycle is equivalent to mod 30 counter. Mod 30 counter can be implemented using 5 number of flip-flops. So the answer is 5 for this. This question is asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects and from logic family topic. The given question is the logic function f of xy realized by the given circuit is NOR, AND, NAND and XOR. Okay. So this is the circuit given. We are supposed to find what function this is realizing. So we have to find this expression of f in terms of x and y. In fact, we can, okay, this is looking a bit complicated. We can read of the circuit something like this. So basically if you see, so this is a what? CMOS circuits. CMOS circuit because we have both NMOS used and both PMOS also used. So these are all the PMOS, the top side, and the bottom side we have all NMOS, right? So these are all NMOS. So what is connected to this one? So this transistors, if this is X, so this is a NOT gate, so this is your X bar. So this is X bar, and to this what is connected? So this is the same line Y, so this is your Y. Similarly to this, so this is X, so this is your X, and to this, if this is Y, means actually it should be Y bar, right? To this Y bar is connected. In other words, if I ask you what is this, so this is your Y bar, right? Because of this NOT gate. Similarly, if I ask for the bottom one, so what is this? So if this is X bar, the same line is connected to this. So if this is X bar, means this is also X bar. So this is your X bar, and what is this? If this is Y, so this will be a Y bar. So to this one, we have connected Y bar. Similarly, if this is X, this is also X, and if this is Y, so this is also Y, because you can see this is Y, but this is Y bar, but we have given the connection from here, so this is also Y. So this is X and this is your Y. So this is the corresponding simplified diagram, and this is RGL supply VDD. So whenever you get the CMOS circuits, it is wise to concentrate NMOS, or you can also concentrate PMOS, but because of popularity of NMOS, we are habituated to use NMOS. And how to get the answer corresponds to NMOS circuits. So those, I mean from the output terminal, okay, those which are in cascade, you take their AND combinations, and those which are in parallel, you take their OR combinations, and finally put a complement. In other words, these two are in cascade, so the term corresponds to this I will get is the AND combination of their inputs. So if this input is X bar, this input is Y bar, so the corresponding term for this cascade combination is X bar, Y bar. Similarly, the corresponding combination for this is X and Y. This is X and Y, because again these are in cascade, so it is AND combination of the input X, Y. So if I ask you what is your F, so this is your F, right? So F is, so from here if you see, we have two parallel paths, this and this, and we have to do OR combination of it. That's what I was saying. If they are in series, make AND. If they are in parallel, make it OR. So if you make OR combination of this, What do you get? OR combination of this is x bar y bar plus xy, but don't forget to put a complements. So first you have to do this series parallel and or these things, and finally while giving the final expression don't forget to put a complements. Okay, in case if there could have been something else also in the top side, I would have again gone through this and or finally I'll have put at the complements. So I got x bar y bar, I got xy, then I am doing OR combination of this, and finally while giving the expression I shouldn't forget to put this complements. So this is x bar y bar plus xy, this is nothing but x nor y, right? And complement of x nor y is x or y. So your f is nothing but x or y. So basically it is representing a 2 input XOR gate. Alright, so the answer is 2 input XOR gate. This is a 2-mark question asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects and from logic gate chapter. The given question is, the logic gates shown in digital circuit below use strong pull down NMOS transistor for low logic levels at outputs. When pull downs are off, high value of resistors set output logic levels to high, that is pull ups are weak. Note that some nodes are intentionally sorted to implement OAD logic. Such nodes will be high only if outputs of all gates whose outputs are sorted are high. The number of distinct value of x3, x2, x1, x0 out of 16 possible values that gives y equal to 1 is dash. Actually these questions look so complicated and so much of informations are given, but the initial phrase of the questions are completely irrelevant as far as the solution of this question is concerned. Okay, so actually the cream part that we need to answer this question is this statements. Sorted, so they have given some nodes are intentionally sorted, and then they are saying sorted node will be high only if output of all gate whose outputs are sorted are high. So these statements, sorted node will be high only if output of all gates whose outputs are sorted are high. What are the sorted nodes? So if you see, this is a sorted node, this is a sorted node. In other words, to this node simply outputs of some gates are connected. If you see this particular node, okay, so see the statement, whose outputs are high, output of all gates whose outputs are sorted are high. So with respect to this node, okay, so how many leads are connected to this node? How many leads are linked? 3 leads are linked, this and this. But out of 3 leads, only these 2 leads are representing output of some gates, because this lead is not output of some gate, but this lead is output of this NOT gate, this lead is output of this gate. So I have to consider what? Only if output of all gates whose outputs are sorted. So whose outputs are sorted. So this and this. So what this is telling, like this node will be high only if this will be high and this will be high, because output will be high only if outputs of those gates which are sorted, they will be high. So it is telling that this node will be equivalent to logic 1 if this is 1, this is 1. That is what it is telling, right? So you see the statement again, output of all gates whose outputs are sorted, right? With respect to this, if this and this will be high, this will be high. Similarly, with respect to this node, so again there are 3 leads, this and this, but this lead and this leads are outputs of some gates, but this is not output of some gates. So I will be saying this gate, or I mean this node will behave, or this value will be logic 1 when this will be 1, this will be 1. That is what they are telling. Sorted node will be high only if output of all gates whose outputs are sorted. So here this and this outputs are sorted. So this will be high if this is high and this is high. So it means this sorted node, so these are equivalent to virtual AND gates. Why I am using the word virtual AND gates? Actually physically the AND gate is not present, but logically the way they have given informations, these nodes are behaving like AND gates. So even if virtually there is, even if practically physically there is no AND gate present, but virtually yes, or this node is logically behaving like AND gates. Hope this is clear. Why is it behaving like AND gates? Because we are telling like this gate will be, or this node will be 1, this node will be 1 if outputs of those gates which are sorted to it, they will be 1. Isn't it? So that is the behavior of a AND gate. What is the behavior of AND gate? When all of the input to the AND gate is 1, then the output is 1. That's what it is. When all of the gates whose outputs are connected, they will be 1, then only it will be 1. So it means So this node is equivalent to AND combination of those gate outputs which are sorted here. So let's name this is F1, the output of this NAND gate, let's name this is F1, and similarly let's output of this NAND gates, let's name this is F2. So what is F1? So what is the output of this XOR gate? It is X1 XOR with X2, and this is X3 means this is your X3 bar. So F1 is nothing but AND combination of this and this. Again I am telling you, in this node there are 3 leads connected, but while writing expression of F1, this lead will not come into picture. This lead will not come into picture because this lead is not the output of any logic gate. So F1 is the AND combination of this and this, that is X1 XOR with X2 ANDed with X3 bar. Okay, if this is X0, so this is a NOT gate, it is X0 bar. If this is X0, this is X0. Okay, so this is your F1, right? So this is your F1. I mean, this node is what? This node is F1 I am telling. So if I am saying output of this is like AND gate, it means this node itself is this is I am telling you. So this node, the logic expression of this node is nothing but AND combination of this and this. So this is actually F1. If this is F1, this is also F1, right? Because this is the same node. So the output of this is F1 into X0. Similarly, what is this F2 then? So F2, that is this node logic expressions which I am showing F2. So this itself is F2 actually. So again I am telling you, this node is nothing but the expression of the node is nothing but AND combination of output of those gates which are sorted here. So this node F2 is equals to AND combination of this and this. We should not think about this segment because this segment is not representing output of any gates. So your F2 is equals to AND combination of what? This and this. So you get F1 X0 ANDed with X0 bar. So X0 bar are there means this is equivalent to 0. So if you see finally with respect to this OR gate, if this is X3, so this is also X3. And what is this? So if this is F2, so this is also your F2. So what is your Y? Y is equals to F2 plus X3. But what is your F2? F2 you got it is 0. So 0 plus X3, so you got it is X3. So what is your Y? Y is equals to X3. So what we have done in this case is, based on the information given, first we are trying to get what is Y in terms of X0, X1, X2, X3. That's the way we deal with such kind of questions, right? If such kind of questions are framed, we'll be first obtaining what way this Y is related to the inputs. So by considering all these sorted nodes high, whatever the information given, we have first obtained what are the expression of these sorted nodes, and then we are getting what is this Y. So this Y is coming X3. So this Y is not function of X0, X1, X2. This Y is only function of X3 only. So if I am writing the truth table of this, X3, X2, X1, X0, and this is your Y. Okay. How many combinations are possible? There are 16 combinations possible. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay. 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, triple 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 1, 1. So we are telling Y is equals to X3, right? This is what we got. So simply you copy this column and paste here. So that is what your Y is, because Y equals to X3. So if I ask you what is your X3, if you write for this, so for the first 8 rows, so X3 value is 0. So for first 8 rows, you get it is all zeros. Because for first 8 rows, X3 is 0. So Y is equals to X3. So I am getting 0. For the bottom 8 rows, X3 is 1. So for the bottom 8 rows, you get X3 equals to 1. So the question is, number of distinct value of X3, X2, X1, X0 that gives Y equals to 1 is, what will be this answer? This will be 8. Because for this value of X3, X2, X1, X0, or for the bottom 8 rows, okay, for these combinations, your output will be 1. For the top 8 rows, output will be 0. So when X3, X2, X1, X0 they take such combinations. So your answer is y equal to 0, but when this x3, x2, x1, x0, they take such combinations, so the answer output y is equals to 1. So what are the value of x3, x2, x1, x0? So this is starting with 1, triple zeros up to 1, 1, 1, 1. That is in decimal form 8 to 15. When this x3, x2, x1, x0 take such values, output is 1. So how many such combinations are possible? 8. So answer is 8. So this question actually nothing great in this, but you should not fear by observing the initial statement, pull down, pull up. Actually in the EDC course in MOSFET analysis, you must have learned those pull down, pull up concepts. But as far as this question solution is concerned, so those informations are quite irrelevant as far as the solution part of this question is concerned. So the only skill or only common sense that you need in this question is just to figure it out. Sorted node is equivalent to virtual AND gate. That's the way the information given. Because they are telling that this node will be 1 if outputs of those gates which are connected to this are high. Okay, so it means this node expression is AND combination of output of those gates which are connected to this. So on these nodes, there are 3 leads are connected. Out of 3, 2 are representing output of some gates, not the third one. So this node expression is AND combination of these two here. Similarly, this is not representing output of any gates. So this node is equivalent to AND combination of this and this. And then by simplifying as usual way, we obtain this, and then we are writing this and we are getting the answer is 8. So answer is 8 for this.
This question is asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects and from semiconductor memory topic. The given question is, a 2x2 ROM array is built with help of diodes as shown in the circuit below. Here W0 and W are signal that select word lines, and B0, B1 are signal that output of the sense amplifier based on stored data corresponds to the bit lines during read operations. During read operation, the selected word line goes high and other word line is in a high impedance state. As per implementation shown in the circuit diagram above, that are bits corresponds to DIG stored in the ROM is. So basically we are given with a ROM diagram and we are supposed to obtain what are the stored data. ROM stands for read-only memory, where data we cannot write, but what data is stored we can only read it. One important information given, during read operations, selected word line goes high and other word line goes high impedance state. So one thing is very clear from this. At a time only one of the select line is activated or selected. So you have two word lines W0 and W1, right? So at a time one of them will be selected or one of them will be activated, other will be in deactivated state. If I am saying this is activated, so this is in high impedance state, and if I am saying this is activated, then this should be in high impedance state. High impedance state means this is kind of a open circuits. Okay, it's like you can think like virtually it is disconnected from the system. That's the meaning of high impedance state. Okay, so we have to give the answer in the matrix forms. So the meaning of this is, when W0 is selected, what is available in B0 you have to write here, what is available in B1 you have to write here. Similarly, when W1 is selected, what is available on B0 you have to write here, and what is available in B1 you have to write here. So I am taking two cases. If W0 is selected, what is the meaning of W0 is selected? In other words, the signal at W0 should reach to this particular line, right? So there is a diode, and diode can be in on or off state. If you are making diode on, so this point signal will be equivalent to this point signal. If you make diode off, then this is quite independent of this point. So you want to make this diode on. If you want to make this diode on, then we need W0 equals to 1. So if W0 is selected, it means your W0 equals to 1. Because if you are making W0 equal to 0, so this is kind of diode won't be forward bias, then there is no point. Because we want to see, I mean, if you are manipulating this way, what way this bit line information we are sensing, right? So you might be knowing what lines are meant for to operate the switch. So now whatever the situation you want to access to the system, so this should be forward bias, and for that this should be logic 1. And if this is given logic 1, so naturally this diode will be forward bias, and by default forward bias means this will be short circuited. And if I am saying this is logic 1, So this point voltage is also 5 volts, which is equivalent to logic 1. And if this is logic 1, you see the same line is connected to this sense amplifier. So B naught will be definitely equals to 1. So when W naught equals to 1, we can see B naught is equals to 1. And what about B1? So if I am saying W naught is selected, then W1 is in high impedance state. So this line is no way going to play any role on this, and by default here we are not getting any one kind of things. So by default we will take B1 equal to 0. See, in digital systems there can be two possible state, either low or high. I can say this would be high when you give here 1, but at a time if you are operating this, we are not operating this, right? So this is kind of deactivated, so this is out from the systems, and if I am not giving 1, I will not get it 1. So if you are not getting 1, then what you will get? You will get 0. So B naught is 1 and B1 is 0. So this matrix, if you want to fill it up, so when W naught is selected, when W naught is equals to 1, then B naught is equals to 1 and B1 is equals to 0. And the opposite thing is going to happen if you are selecting W1. So if you are selecting W1, now this should be in high impedance state now. Okay, but if you make W1 equals to 1, so now this will again make sure this diode is again on. If this diode is again on, so if this is 1, so this is also 1, so you will get B1 equals to 1. So if you make W1 equals to 1, then in this case you will get your B1 equals to 1. But what about B naught? So because I am saying B1 equals to 1, so now this line I am not touching, right? Because this is in high impedance state. So this point is kind of like, because if W1 is activated, this is in high impedance state. So it will not be 1. It will be 1 only when this is 1. If this is not 1, that is naturally 0. So when W1 is selected, so B naught equal to 0 and B1 equals to 1. So this is what is the corresponding matrix, and this is the right answer. This question is asked in GATE 2018 of electronics. This is from digital subjects and from sequencer circuit topic. The question is, in the circuit shown below, a positive edge trigger D flip-flop is used for sampling input data D in using clock CK. The XOR gate output is 3.3 volts for logic high and 0 volt for logic low levels. The data bits and clock periods are equal and the value of delta T by TCK equals to 0.15, where parameter delta T, TCK are shown in the figure. Assume that flip-flop and the XOR gate are ideal. If the probability of input data bit D in transition in each clock period is 0.3, the average value in volt accurate to 2 decimal places of the voltage at node X is dash. So questions looks very big and very complicated. So let me summarize what is being given and what we are supposed to do. So this is a D flip-flop. It's in fact a positive edge trigger D flip-flop, and it's the XOR gate. This flip-flop and this XOR gates are ideal. It means that delay are 0. So logic 1 in this circuit is considered to be 3.3 volts and logic 0 in this circuit is considered to be 0 volts. Delta T by T clock is 0.15. So this is the clock period, is basically the TCK. Okay, this is TCK. This is the clock period. What is delta T? So a time gap between this and this. So if this is the clock, you can see after some time some changes are happening on D in. So the time period of the gap basically between the clock edge and the when the input is getting changed in delta T. So that delta T by TCK is 0.15. We are supposed to find what is the average value of the voltage generated at this node. What is the average value of voltage at this node? One more information given, that probability that D in will make transition on each clock is 0.3. So if you observe one clock periods, in one clock periods, so we are getting a change. The change is happening from 1 to 0 or it is happening from 0 to 1. The black color if you see, so here it is 1 to 0, 0 to 1, 1 to 0 and so on and so forth. Red color if you see 0 to 1. So what is the change? That is not a concern. So probability of change, the change can be 1 to 0, 0 to 1. There are two possibilities they have shown. So either it can change from 0 1 0 1 sequence or 1 0 1 0 sequence. You can take whatever, it's no matters. But it is saying that it is not necessary that in every cycle the D in is going to change. So that's what the meaning of probability. That probability that D in will make transition on each clock is 0.3. Okay. So that is what the information given, which is making the questions looking like very tough, isn't it? So we are supposed to find what is the Vx average. So let's do one thing. You don't worry about all this probability information for time being. Listen here what I am saying carefully. So first thing is, because it is positive edge, I am highlighting the positive edge of the clocks. So these are the positive edge of the clocks. So D in, okay, so if you observe, so these periods are very, very small actually, okay. So these are looking like this, but if you see the original question paper, they are very, very small. So this is the clock. And my interest is to generate this or to draw this X. So what is this X? X is, this is D in, means this is your D in, and this is the output of the flip-flop Q, and the XOR combination of D in and Q is X. So if you observe the waveform X, you can find the average values, right? You can find the average value, you will find it. So first thing is how to draw X. Now to draw X, you have the D in informations, which is given. I can get Q. Now what I am doing is, so let us say the clock waveform is as it is. So let's say I am taking the corresponding a D waveform, I am taking like this. Or let's say the D waveform I am taking, which is changing from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0 this way. What way it is changing, whether 0 to or 1 to 0, doesn't matter. That's the reason why both possibility they have shown, right? It can change from, in one particular cycle, it can change from 1 to 0, 0 to 1. It doesn't matter actually. But probability of the change is 0.3 they have given. Okay, so let us say this is the way actually change is happening. Like 0 to 1, 1 to 0. If you take this waveform, like in every cycles we are getting some change. But the probability is 0.3. Probability doesn't matter. So let us take, this is what the waveform of D in is. But the point is, this is the clock edge. Similarly, this is the clock edge. Similarly here, this is the clock edge. Okay, this is the clock edge. And if I ask you what is this, so this gap is delta t, and again your this gap is delta t, and again your this gap is delta t. So my approach in this case is to find it out what is the waveform of Q first. If I am able to get what is the waveform of Q, then Q I will do XOR with this one, and that will give me X. Once I get X, then I will see how to get the average values. So you know the property of D flip-flop, Q plus equals to D. So initially, let us say the initial state of the flip-flop is 0. So I am continuing with 0. Okay, I am continuing with 0. So let me just highlight it. These are the clock edge actually, right? So this is 0. Okay, fine. Then when the first clock is coming, first clock is coming at this points. What is the D in? So this is the D in waveform, right? I have taken one of the possibilities. So if when the first edge is coming, I can see D in is 0. So because Q plus equals to D, if the input is 0 when the clock is coming, so the Q will continue with 0 till the next clock. So I'll continue like this till these points. So in the second edge, okay, I mean at this edge, I can see the value of D which was 0 here. Now the value of D is 1. So if the value of D is 1, so again Q plus equals to D. So this is 1 and you are giving the clock. So this is 1, you are giving the clock, second clock. So Q plus equals to D. So this one will be continued like this till the next clock cycles. Okay, and so on and so forth. If you want, we can again draw for couple of these things. So this is 0 and 1. Then again when the third clock is coming, so the input D is again basically it is 0, right? When the third clock is coming, input D is basically 0. So again Q plus equals to D. So because it is 0, so now onwards for next clock cycle till the next clock cycle, it will continue with what? Basically 0. Okay. So the point is at here D in is 0. At this point D in is 1. At this point D in is what is this? 0. And at this point D in is here basically 1. So because it is 0, I continue with 0. Because this is 1, I continue with 1. And because this is 0, I continue with 0. So this is the waveform of Q. So you got this waveform. Because you got this waveform, so this is, let me highlight, this is actually delta t. This gap is delta t. Again, this gap is delta t. And again, this gap is delta t. Right. So this is your Q. Okay. Now what is this X? X is nothing but XOR combination of D in and Q. So I have to do XOR of this and this to get the waveform X. So I am taking this axis. So these are the clock transition points. Okay. Now see. So if I am asking what you will get here. So till this point 0 XOR 0 is 0. 0 XOR 0 is 0. Okay. Now between this to delta t, okay, so this is 0 and this is 0. So if I take this point, this gap is delta t. So from this point to this point, both are again 0, 0. If you take 0 XOR 0, you get this is 0. You get this is 0. Now from this point to this points, so from this point to this point, so this is 0. However, this is your 1, right? If you observe from basically this point to this point, so this is 1 and this is 0. So 1 XOR 0, so this is 1. So 1 XOR 0 is 1. And then from this point to this point, so this is over till this point. Now from here to here if you see, so this is 1 and this is 1. So 1 XOR 1, you get this is 0. So this gap is again your delta t. Next again if you check it out, so this is 0 and this is 1. So till this point, so this is again your 1. And again it is 0 XOR 0, you get it is again your 0. So this is delta t, and this gap is also delta t. This gap is also delta t. So what is this? This waveform is nothing but the waveform of X. So what I did, so I have taken this red color D I have taken. So you can see like the way it is actually given, I have taken that way. So I have observed in first clock it is 0, so I continue with 0. Second clock I observe this is 1, so I continue with 1. Third clock I again observe this is 0, so I continue with 0. So I got Q, I know D in, I am finding XOR. So this segment 0 XOR 0 is 0. This delta T segments again 0 XOR 0 is 0. Then from this point to this point, this is 1 and this is 0, you got 1. And this segments again 1 XOR 1 is 0. And from this point to this point, so the 0 XOR 1 is 1. And again this point 0 XOR 0 is 0, and so on and so forth. This is what I am getting. So basically X you are getting, this is a periodic waveform. Now if I ask you what is the time period of this particular X? So time period is nothing but the minimum interval after which the wave shape is getting repeated. If you take this is your starting points, so this is one complete period of X. This is one complete period of X, Tx. So if you are starting here, the same thing is again happening from this point onwards. So from here to here is one time period. What is the time period? Tx. So if you observe what is Tx, this is nothing but the gap between two, like one clock edge to other clock edge. So this line is this edge and this line is this edge. So Tx is nothing but Tck. Tx is nothing but Tck. So this is what you are getting. Now you know very well what is the average value formula of a periodic waveform. You know Tx average, if I say this is given by area over period divided by the time periods. This is the formula to calculate the time period of any particular periodic waveform. So actually this is given by the formula 1 by T naught integration over a period of time, and this is x of t dt. So this because giving the area, so area of one period divided by time periods. So in standard geometrical pattern like triangular square cases, we always rely on area over period divided by time periods. Okay. So if I ask you to find this area, then what do you get? So if you see in one period, actually I have two segments. One is this segments, one is this segments. So what is this gap actually? So this gap, because this total thing is T clock and this is delta T. So this gap, basically if I ask you what is this gap, this is Tck minus delta T. Hope you agree. And if I add both of them, it is again Tck. So basically area over one period, if you see it, okay, what you get? Height is, like this is 0. So this is 0 into width is delta T for this segment. Okay, I am finding the area. So this area equal to, like area covered by from here to here, then area covered from here to here. So this is height is 0 and this is delta t is the width. I am writing 0 in delta t. Why I have written 0? Because logic 0 corresponds to 0 volt. They have given it. So I am multiplying 0. If logic 0 would have been 1, I would have multiplied 1 here, right? Plus. So here height is, this is logic 1 actually, and logic 1 is equivalent to 3.3. So this is 3.3 multiplied by TCK minus delta t. TCK minus delta t. TCK minus delta t divided by time period. Time period is TCK. So if you simplify this, this is anyway 0. So you are getting this is 3.3 and then this is basically TCK by TCK is 1 minus delta t divided by TCK. So this is anyway 1, this is anyway 0. So then it is 3.3 and this by this you can write it is TCK by TCK is 1 minus delta t by TCK. So this is happening to be 3.3 and this is 1 minus delta t by TCK is given 0.15. Okay, so this is 3.3 into 0.15 is 0.85. But the point is, whatever the answer you will get, it seems that will be the answers, but that won't be the final answers. Why that won't be the final answers? If I am saying this is my final answers, if I am saying this is my final answers, then I am confirmed that every time this is always happening. That means if I am saying this is my answer, then it is confirmed like in every clock this transition is happening, which is not the information given in the question. In the questions they are saying that the probability of these things to happen is 0.3. So basically if you are trying 10 trials, so 3 trials it will satisfy this kind of cases. That's what actually it means. That means whatever I am saying, so this is basically a probability that this will happen this way. So because this is a probability, it is not 100% always true the way I did it. So probably it is 0.3, it is the probability given is 0.3. So how do you use that information in this problem? So definitely you have to multiply this probability. If probability is 1, it is a confirmed event, like every time it will happen, so I'll multiply it is 1. If it is less than 1, then what you will get, so the occurrence of such things is basically controlled by the probability. So occurrence of this waveform will be controlled by the probability. So because the probability is 0.3, I have to multiply it 0.3. So you can check it out, 0.3 into 3.3 into 0.85. How much is it coming? 0.3 into 3.3 into 0.85. If you check it out, this is coming 0.8415. I hope you don't have any doubts on this, right? So this is the corresponding answers. Okay, the average value of the waveform that is available on X is basically 0.8415 volts. This much of volts. So if this information would not have been given, if the information would not have been given, then answer is only 3.3 into 0.85. But because the occurrence of this to happen is not 100% or probability of this to happen is not 1, I cannot say this the answers. So basically this waveform is going to happen, like the probability is 0.3. So you have to obviously multiply 0.3 because every time you are not going to get it. So that if you multiply this, it is coming 0.8415. Then some people have doubts. Sir, you did this way that you have taken that waveforms which is changing that way, that is fine. But what if I take in other way? Other way means some people will say, so we don't want to do like this. Rather I will take this black color this thing. So I am erasing the red one, okay? So I am erasing. I have taken with respect to red and I have shown the analysis. Now let me take this particular black things, okay? So suppose the transition, if you take this way, then what is the consequence of this? Okay, so I am again highlighting. Okay, like this, see. Okay, now here when the first clock will be applied, then what's going to happen? So here the points is, you can see this is your 1, on the clock edges. At this clock edge this is your 0, at this clock edge this is your 1, right? So when the first clock will be applied at this point, so the output, because here it is 1, again Q plus equals to D. So because the input is 1, so this will continue with 1 till the next clock edge. So no matter whatever it is before this, let's say it is the initial state is of Q is 0. So fine, when I'm giving the first clock, so while giving the first clock D in is 1, so because 1 it will continue with 1. Okay. So at this clock edge, I'm observing that D is 0. So if D is 0, so now I'll continue with 0 till the next clock edge. Again I'm observing it 1, so I'll continue with this way. So this is what it will continue. So this is your Q. So this is your Q you got. Now again your X, if I ask you, this is again X of combination of D and Q. Okay, so if you do it, so what you'll get? So initially whatever it might be doesn't matter to me. So this is 1, let's say, I mean up to this edge. So this gap is delta T, right? This gap is delta T. So between this point to delta T, so this is 1 and this is 1. So you are getting this is 0. So you are getting this is 0. This segment basically, because this is 1, this is 1. 1 XOR 1 is 0. So what is this gap? So this gap is basically delta T. Alright. Then from this point to this points. So this is 0 and this is 1. So you are going to get it is 1 till this point. Right? Because in this segment, so this we got is 0. And in this segment, so this is 1, this is 0, 1 XOR 0 is 1. Then between this point to this point, so this is 0 and this is 0. So you are going to get this is 0. And again, if you check it out, this segment is basically 0, this is 1. So 0 XOR 1 is 1. Again between these two segments, 1 XOR 1, 1 XOR 1 is 0. And again it will continue with 1 and this cycle will continue. So what is this waveform? This waveform is X. This waveform is X. If I ask you what is the probability of this? So the probability of this, basically what is being happening is, so this is happening to be, what is the period of this if I ask you? So period of this if I ask you, so again if you check from this point to this point, so this is the gap between two clock edges. So this is your TCK. This is your TCK. If this is your TCK and this is your delta T, so this is what? This is nothing but TCK minus delta T. TCK minus delta T. So the waveform of X, if you check it out, so you can see then what I'll get if I ask you to find the corresponding average. So again the same thing, because from these segments you are again going to get this, and from these segments, so this width multiplied by 3.3 divided by time period again T clock. So again the same thing, and again the probability of this is 0.3. The answer is 0.8415. Okay, so this is bit a logical questions and good questions. Not every student will answer this. Okay, so the answer is 0.8415 for this.